you as a British citizen, if French terrorists came in and killed 1,000, well, what the equivalent would be, it would be many more than 1,200, but let's say they killed 10,000 British people.
Is Dave's argument literally just, oh yeah, if it happened to you, you'd be really mad and you would want blood? Yeah, probably, but that's not how we dictate policy. That's not how we judge rules of war, you fucking moron.
They want to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people. Come on, Dave, they do.
They're in the government and they haven't taken an extra inch of the West Bank. They haven't.
They absolutely have, you delusional fucking useless, failing upwards husk of a human being. Of course they have. What are you talking? I don't know who watches Dave Rubin. I don't understand. It must be like fucking old people, right? It must be just the like it must be like dementia patients. He is the most easily unimpressive, pathetic, fucking spineless political commentators you could ever come across. Like, he is literally the lowest of the low. You know what I did see, though? I did see that Piers... Maybe I stopped watching this video too soon yesterday. Apparently it's quite good near the end. Where's the full interview? Was it this? Yeah, the second half of this. Apparently the second half of this was actually a bit more impressive than I thought it would be. Israel-Hamas conflict. Piers and Dave Rubin.
What's going on in your mind when you see one of those moments?
Piers, shut up and let Dave do his thing.
All right, so let's get into one that I have hit you on repeatedly on Twitter. We've had our little things back and forth, and again, it's always respectful. But I want to show you one. It's a little compilation. It's about 60 seconds or so. Some of the Israel stuff.
Basically, waging war on a very small area of land, densely populated by 50% children, and in the process, you're killing thousands and thousands of children, and will continue to do so. And I have resisted going as far as you have done in your criticism of the Israeli government. I resist no more. I think we've reached common ground about what we view is happening and has been happening through this period of this blockade, which frankly is just starvation of the people there, including so many innocent young women and children. And I think that the incessant bombing and killing, and we don't know how many civilians have been killed, but it is on a daily basis. It looks like hundreds of people every day, with no apparent attempt, it seems to me, to have any real plan for how this ends or what happens when it ends. How many children have been killed?
Piers, Israel is not killing children.
Israel is killing children every single...
These people are so fucking weak. Oh, God. Man, if you were in Piers's position and you listened to the arguments that he hears, you probably would be swayed in the position that he's gone to.
Piers, this is a
this country is fucking insane.
Label you're putting on Israel. You know it's not true.
What? No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
They then moved into a nearly 3-month blockade, which to me is a criminal starvation of a populace, which should never have been allowed to happen. The bombardment has been utterly relentless all over Gaza. They've obliterated 70% of Gaza. I think is completely disproportionate to what happened to Israel on October the 7th. These hardliners on the Israeli government cabinet, the way they've been talking now quite brazenly and openly about ethnic cleansing.
Okay, so it's weird to even have to like show that, and we sit in a room
together. Can I make one point about
that?
No, it's actually, I don't mind at all. I stand by everything I said. But it's interesting, you've only shown my rhetoric this year from the 3-month blockade onward.
No. So
I would say it would be fairer if you'd also shown my passionate defense of Israel.
Well, you addressed it. You addressed it there.
Which I maintained for a long time, by the way, and used to get absolutely hammered by the pro-Palestinian side in a way that I've, since this year, had more hammering from the pro-Israeli side. So,
well, you addressed it there. That's why we put that clip in.
And I think that's just...
Because there has been a shift. That's what I wanted.
No question.
Right. So I think that is... So first off, you acknowledge that there's been no starvation, correct?
No.
Dude. Oh, fuck. None. Dave. How could he not know that? How could you possibly exist on the internet and think there's still no starvation? Does he think every single photo ever was just like a fucking... Does he think every photo ever was just like a Syrian person or some shit? Or like a Yemeni? What the fuck? Dave. I'm not actually surprised that Dave is that fucking stupid. He's always been exceptionally dumb on this topic.
You don't acknowledge
I don't
that.
Or any topic.
Sure.
Well, there was starvation of the Israeli hostages, but you
Yes.
So where are the videos
Fuck,
and
man.
images of the starving Gazans?
Why would
And-
you set yourself up like that? Why? Why would you do that? Why?
You've seen a lot, but you would dismiss them all as fakes.
No, I wouldn't. I mean,
Uh-huh.
if you can show me one, I'll tweet
The
it
problem,
out.
okay, here's
Yeah.
my problem with this.
Yeah.
So the problem is my number one problem with this.
Yeah.
You can say there's no starvation. I can say there's starvation. The UN says there was starvation, but you guys don't believe a word the UN says. The other official bodies say there was starvation. You don't want to hear a word they say. Israel denies everything. And in the end, the biggest problem is
Even Israel doesn't deny that starvation happened. Their argument, like Netanyahu did with those fucking fake watermarks over the pictures, that fucking psycho, was that they had genetic conditions, right? So they needed very special diets, and it was more that they couldn't take in food as opposed to them not having any food. Like they couldn't take in nutrients or whatever the fuck. Again, that doesn't explain every malnutrition death, like not even close. But even they don't say it's fake. They just say it's less than. They just say it's less than what the UN or the IPC projections said it would be.
Israel will not allow, to this day, international journalists into Gaza to do their jobs. And I keep asking, why is that? Because you and I can...
Well, because they're virtually all activists, not journalists.
No, I don't mean Palestinian
But
journalists.
you could let other journalists. You could let journalists who are not activists go in, Dave. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean international journalists.
No.
I mean the international.
So where
let
are the
in
videos?
Reuters, let in AP, let in the BBC, let in Sky, let in.
Well,
let
it's
in
also
NBC,
a war zone.
Let in
It's
ABC.
a war zone.
Yeah, but they operate in war zones all over the world.
But so when this all ended a few weeks ago, when Trump does this thing, where are all the thousands of starving people? I mean, we're seeing videos of restaurants that are
let the
opening up
journalists in
and
to do their job.
But I mean, right now, where are they? These people have phones.
How do you know?
Live stream. What do you mean?
Do you see where they are?
Of course, there are
How?
plenty
You
of videos.
can't.
What do you mean? There are plenty of videos.
The media
They
are
have
not
phones.
allowed to do their jobs, Dave.
No.
And I have a big problem as a former editor of a national newspaper.
But the Gazans have phones, and they're showing videos of.
You can say that no Gazan has starved at all.
That's really crazy. No journalists have been let in. Yeah, it's even got to a point now where, because there's been a ceasefire, the Supreme Court is telling the government that they need to come up with a new position because they can't use the same excuse anymore. Like it's like an internal problem with Israel's own law. Like they need to come up with a new policy or like a new statement or a new position officially on what they're going to do with journalists going into the Strip. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Entirely your prerogative.
Yeah.
The reports by almost every official body say the opposite, but you don't believe them. My view is you're entitled to not believe anyone, right? It's fine. I had that thing with Meghan Markle. Didn't believe her either. Cost me my job. However, the best way to get to the truth is let journalists who are used to covering in war zones, let them go in and do their job, particularly now we have the ceasefire. So let them go in. There is a reason the Israeli government is not letting the media in. And I fear I know what it is. They are terrified about what the world will uncover.
I just think that's just.
Well, let him in.
I just think
there's one way to find out.
Does not have any answers at all. He's such a fucking tool, man. What a pathetic fucking wretch.
There are quite literally, I think, almost 2 million Gazans there. They have phones. They're releasing videos now. They're at restaurants. They're out and about. Why did none of the Hamas fighters, when they're releasing the people, look hungry? A lot of them look fat. They have fresh clothes
I've
and
seen
fresh
lots
haircuts.
of images of Palestinians looking hungry.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't dispute the 20,000.
It's not that weird that journalists are only allowed while being embedded with soldiers. It's the same thing in Ukraine. As far as the front lines, is that true? Because obviously journalists can go to Ukraine. I don't think do they have to be embedded with military? Not to be in the country. I don't know.
1,000 plus children have died, right?
So whose fault is that? Because this seems to be the one that most people are annoyed at you about, because you keep saying proportionate. That's the word that has bothered me with this. So what if someone killed your wife and your daughter and kidnapped your son and raped and pillaged your whole community and all that stuff? What would be your proportionate response?
Well, you've got to get it into the context of why I criticise what happened. I do believe the 3-month blockade earlier this year was a criminal blockade. I believe it was deliberate starvation of a people, deliberately denying them food and aid. If you
Has any other country in the history of the world been told to feed the people that are killing it?
If you look at the Geneva
and-
Convention, actually, but then no other country in the world has had the control that Israel has over Gaza.
Yeah, you do actually have an obligation. You have an obligation to give them food yourself, but you do have an obligation to allow food in. Yeah, you do. there are some militaries, the UK for one, will still say that if evacuation orders are ignored or if people aren't allowed to leave, then supplies can be prevented. But even the Americans say you have to condition it on proportionality. You have to condition it on whether or not the military advantage gained from not allowing aid into an area would supersede the civilian harm. And I think even in the Geneva Convention, in a later addition to, I think it was to the fourth convention, is it Article 70? I think they more or less say that in the notes to it, they more or less say that you're pretty much never going to get a situation where the advantage gained from stopping any food from entering an area is going to exceed collateral damage. Like it's so unlikely, especially when there are so many civilians in the area, as has been the case in Gaza. So there's no justification for it, morally or legally, I would say.
Right?
Well,
which again is a whole separate issue, isn't
Egypt could open the door.
Of course it could, and it should. And it should.
But so could Israel could allow a DP center to be set up in the Negev. What?
Nobody's annoyed at Egypt.
I don't dispute that for a moment.
Yeah.
And look, I've always supported Israel and its right to exist. And when this happened, October the 7th, one of the worst things I've ever seen, and I steadfastly supported Israel's right to defend itself, and I still do. However, I kept asking from early on, what would be a proportionate response?
But who has ever been asked to have a proportionate response?
Well, let me ask you.
So they should have murdered.
Everyone ever has been asked to have a proportionate response. If you mean proportionate legally, then yes, you do have to have a proportionate response. What the fuck? Is Dave just literally like fucking kill them all? Is that the limit of his fucking analysis on this conversation?
1,000 people and raped women.
Let me throw it back at you. Yeah. In the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict, 75 years or so, there has never been a response from either side to an atrocity by the other. Both sides claim the other side's committed atrocities, right? There's never been a response, anything on this scale. So we had, on October the 7th, 1,200 people were killed. We had nearly 7,000 more wounded. We had 255, 6 people who were kidnapped, including a baby, including Holocaust survivors. Absolutely horrific. But the reason I asked about proportionality, show me another moment in the 75-year conflict where the response has been to kill 60 times as many people, and where you have hang on, let me finish. Where you have a government with people like Smodrich and Ben-Gvir who begin publicly, openly talking about ethnically cleansing all the Palestinians from Gaza, about annexing the West Bank, about taking complete control of all of it, to the point that Donald Trump had to step in and say that is not happening, and credit to him for doing that.
Sure,
so
but random ministers
they're not random ministers.
About...
They're not two of the most senior people in the government.
No, but them talking about...
Random ministers. Hey, what is this fucking trend going on recently? What is this, like a recurring theme on the stream where people just don't know what the fuck a government is? I got fucking a bunch of people in one ear telling me that generals and officers are government, and then the other ear I've got someone telling me that a minister of security in the government is a random politician. What the fuck? Is a random minister? What's going on?
Is different. I mean,
I hear that a lot.
But is there literally, can you name one Palestinian leader, either Fatah or Hamas, that isn't for a complete genocide? Is there one?
There isn't.
Mahmoud Abbas literally said they don't want an armed state. What the fuck are you talking about, Dave?
Complete genocide.
Yeah, of the Israeli people. Is there one? Can you name one Palestinian leader that isn't for a complete genocide of every
we under
Jew?
No illusion of what I think about Hamas, for example. I think Hamas are a despicable terror group.
But so what would its proportional response
so my
be?
point, my point is this. You have a unique population in Gaza where half of them are under 18. There is a unique proportion of kids in this part of the world, right? So at what point do you try and find a different way to resolve this? It turned out that Donald Trump found a different way to do it, right? Donald Trump did not agree with Israel continuing to just level Gaza to the floor. He did not agree with Ben-Gvir and Smodrich saying kick all the Palestinians out. Actually, he wants to rebuild Gaza now and make it a prosperous...
Never met a streamer who knew how governments work. Zero streamers who have civil servant friends. What? All I'm saying is the next time I read an article that says something like a government official said, a government source told the press, I'm gonna think, I mean, maybe that's a guy in the White House. Maybe that's a general. I don't know. Maybe that's some fucking Air Force commander. All right.
Place for Gazans to live, right? But he also wants a two-state solution, which I don't think Netanyahu wants in a million years, right?
Well,
so
I don't know that Trump wants a two-state solution.
Well, I think
I don't think he's
I think
ever
ultimately,
said
if he could achieve it where you can protect the security of Israelis, he would.
Yeah,
because it's the only way this ever gets resolved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that.
You don't?
Well, the Palestinians already have a state. It's called Jordan. They have a majority Palestinian population there.
So fucking retarded, man. It's such a tired. It's such an exhausted old fucking take. Like, no one ever said that Jordan would be Palestine and Palestine would be no one ever said this.
Ruled over in a actual apartheid by the Hashemite king, but nobody wants to talk about that.
How
right?
do you know? This is how people in Northern Ireland used to.
Okay, what do you want to do then? You want to deport 5 million people to Jordan, Dave? Is that what you want to do? You ready? Are you ready to make that your policy? Or is it just something you want to bring up that's not even fucking true?
On both sides, you'd have implacable positions.
Both
we can
sides.
never do peace with these people. They're terrorists. They'd all the loyalists and the IRA call themselves terrorists for 7 decades, right? And eventually, you had new clear thinking by Bill Clinton, by Tony Blair, by Senator Mitchell, and we managed to get to peace that nobody thought was achievable amongst warring people who lived amongst each other.
But how many?
Very similar
how many times
to
should
the Gaza-Israel border.
But how many times should the
get on
Israelis
with each other over dick-sucking Trump's peace deal?
Offer peace? I mean, I'm sure you're well aware that Bill Clinton says his biggest failing was getting Arafat to not accept.
And I think Arafat,
they've been offered 10 times.
Arafat should have taken that deal. Yeah. I'm completely with Bill Clinton.
So, but again, what is a proportionate response?
I don't know.
So what would you demand if your wife was
if I'm
murdered?
An Israeli, here's my question: if I'm an Israeli, or if I'm a Jew living out of Israel around the world, right? And I was in New York recently. More Jews live in New York than live any Jewish community outside of Tel Aviv. I've read.
Not much longer.
Huh?
Not much longer.
We'll see.
They're going to move here.
The case. Yeah. But I look at it. I think, do they feel safer by what's happened, or do they feel less safe? I would argue that the conduct and the way that the Israeli government has waged this war, particularly this year, has actually inflamed hatred of the Israeli government, but also by association, Israel, Israelis, and Jewish people. I don't think it's made them more secure. I think it's made them less secure. So in all wars, Dave, at some point, you have to have a political solution. The only solution that seemed to be being offered by Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, and the others was to raise Gaza to the floor and to expel all Palestinians. So, thankfully, Donald Trump sees it a different way. And
thankfully, Donald Trump came in and saved the day from the inevitable ethnic cleansing to Libya.
Thank God that he does.
It's true, though. The peace plan rules out ethnic cleansing. It rules out annexation of Gaza. That's true. That's facts.
Because this had to end.
I think you're having a disconnect between what Bibi and Trump think. I think they're completely aligned on this.
Netanyahu would annex West Bank tomorrow.
He's been in power for 20-something years. He could have done it at any point. Notice he hasn't. I mean,
come on.
But he hasn't.
But it's like the argument we haven't dropped an atomic bomb on Gaza, therefore, obviously,
if they wanted
fair
to,
in love and war, right?
No, there's a couple things here. I mean, first off, I don't think any country in the world has ever been asked to feed the people that are holding its hostage, right? Like,
they've been asked to let food in. The coalition forces were asked to do that in places like Fallujah. People were expected to do that in Mosul, even when it was almost impossible to send aid into those areas. The surrounding military forces were still expected to try to allow aid to get in to the best of their ability.
Have you ever called for any other country to do that, or anyone?
Well,
has anyone ever called for that?
Well, British prisoners of war in World War II were fed.
Yeah. But
what's the difference?
What?
Ooh,
prisoners of war in World War II were fed. So what's the difference?
Because they were holding
the US
hostages.
Didn't really do it in the examples you gave. So I've been waiting to see someone show me this. I'm pretty sure in Mosul, in the old city, I don't think they did a blanket stop on aid going in. It's just that it couldn't go in. It was too dangerous. Wasn't that the problem? I don't think they actually said, no, you can't come in here. Same with Iraq, no? There were delays. I remember the fucking Israeli dudes who wrote that piece on the genocide, they were trying to say that in Iraq and in the Iraq war and in Mosul, so they didn't let food in. Okay, you're so retarded, or you're trying to trigger me. Jesus Christ.
Their people. I mean, to me, it seems that you as a British citizen,
people being held hostage in
I can't.
But you as a British citizen, if French terrorists came in and killed what the equivalent would be, it would be many more than 1,200. But let's say they killed 10,000 British people.
Is Dave's argument literally just, oh yeah, if it happened to you, you'd be really mad and you would want blood? Yeah, probably. But that's not how we dictate policy. That's not how we judge rules of war, you fucking moron. Yeah, society is supposed to be better than the whims of the individual. That's the whole point, Dave.
And they took your wife and killed your daughter, would you be calling for a proportionate response?
No, but then
would you say, whatever the fuck you have to do to get my wife back?
You should never ask what somebody who's just lost their family would do in that situation. Obviously, they're going to be speaking from a totally different.
Well, I'm asking you hypothetically, if they literally took your wife.
Yes, but I don't think it matters what I think is the grieving father or husband of people who've just been slaughtered. Governments should be above that. They have to take a decision.
I took the words right out of my mouth. Wow, well done, Piers.
Which takes everything into account. And the question I come back to is, do you believe that Israel is now a safer or less safe place for Israelis and Jews than it was before?
I mean, Israel's probably safer now than it was before October 7th, right? Like, that doesn't justify every action, but like obviously the fear of another October 7th or the fear of Hezbollah ever using their full force, like Israel's now in a position where basically if they see where the option of an enemy building up on the other side of a border is just non-existent. Like Hezbollah can try to set up whatever the fuck they want in the south, and Israel just bomb it on the day. They won't sit there and write letters to UNIFIL going, hey, go get, please. They don't do that anymore. Now they're just like, fuck, there's a guy, bomb him. That's all. That's the Israeli policy now. You can disagree with it, and there's definitely good grounds to do so, but that probably just also means it's going to be less dangerous. There's going to be less fear of 180,000 rockets, or the fuck has it had before October 7th.
Safer.
Is it?
They're external. They're external enemies. I mean, that's empirically true. They're external enemies, from Iran to Hezbollah to the Houthis. They're basically destroyed.
You know, there've been reports that for every Hamas fighter that's been killed, terrorist I call them, for every Hamas terrorist has been killed, they reckon they've been replaced 5 times with people with the same ideology.
But that's like saying you can't defeat Nazis.
Well, I agree.
We dropped a couple
and I've
nukes,
made that point. I've made that point myself.
Yeah.
But I do not think, in answer to the proportionate question, I'm very glad the ceasefire came when it did. I'm very glad the hostages got released. They should have been released, obviously, immediately. Should never have been taken in the first place. I'm very glad Donald Trump made this happen. I fear if he hadn't got involved in the way he did, and clearly directed Netanyahu to do this, the hostages would have died. And so, again, I come back to this. What was the Israeli war aim? The government said they wanted to defeat Hamas completely, and they wanted to get the hostages out. The hostages are now out. Hamas is not defeated, but they are heavily dismantled. They've accepted they can no longer have power. The Arab countries around them have said they can't have power. The argument now is about whether they should give up their arms. I believe they should be compelled to do that. The unanswered question is, will they do that? And who's going to put the most pressure on them to do it? I hope that it's a concerted effort by the United States and by the Arab leaders around the area who say to Hamas, you've got to give up your arms. Then you have the opportunity in Gaza for a peaceful resolution. But I think Israel will look back. I've met a lot of Israelis.
So I've met
a lot of Israelis and Jews in the last few months who felt that I've been absolutely...
You define compel, Piers. Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like, you can't really do that without wrangling the arms away from them, can you? Oh, no.
Absolutely right in what I've said.
Let's not think about that, though.
Others who said, the same questions you're asking me. I think they're perfectly valid questions. I'm very happy to debate them. But don't be under any illusion there aren't a lot of Israelis and Jews who agree with me that the Israeli government, which is a hard right government, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir are not just right-wing, they're absolute far-right headbangers.
Criminal.
Meaning what? Meaning
Ben
what?
Gvir's a
Dave?
criminal.
What? They want to ethically
Meaning
cleanse
what?
the Palestinian people.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Dave, they do.
They're in the government and they haven't taken an extra inch of the West Bank. They haven't.
They absolutely have, you delusional fucking useless, failing upwards husk of a human being. Of course they have. What are you talking? Smotrich had this fucking had this MO of recognizing an outpost and legalizing it as a settlement for every country that recognized Palestine. There were like 5 countries that recognized Palestine last year, and Smotrich recognized a settlement for it. They're literally annexing. What are you talking about, Dave? He's so clueless. No wonder Piers can go harder on Dave, because even though Tucker is like a fucking fanny, right? Dave is... I don't know who watches Dave Rubin. I don't understand. It must be like fucking old people, right? It must be just it must be like dementia patients. He is the most easily unimpressive, pathetic, fucking spineless political commentators you could ever come across. Like, he is literally the lowest of the low. He is so... Why does he cares about Israel, clearly. He wants to justify like the worst of what they do. How would you ever not know that there were annexations? If he's a right-wing, especially if he's right-wing pro-Israel, they support annexations vocally. They don't hide it. They don't pretend they're not doing it. Looks too young for boomers. I don't know. I don't know. Ben Shapiro didn't come to his wedding. Yeah, because he's homophobic. Yeah.
They're not.
Well,
no
actually,
one's
that's not
taking,
true.
They haven't.
They've been expanding settlements left, right, and centre.
They haven't.
Yeah, they
Yes,
have.
Piers,
You know they have.
They
Piers,
have.
Have you been to the West Bank?
You don't think
have
there's
you
been
been to
any
the West
expansion
Bank?
of settlements on the West Bank?
They build apartments. They build apartments in current
Dave,
places.
has there been an aggressive expansion
No.
of settlements?
They've also recognized new settlements. Do I have to look it up? Dave! Why am I screaming at Dave? He's supposed to be this stupid. That's his character. Didn't they approve a new settlement project as well that literally like thrusts into territory that would make contiguity even more fucking impossible for the West Bank? Yeah, they legalized them, yeah, which basically means that they're there to stay. It means the IDF don't have any obligation to go and destroy them, even like by Israeli law anyway. This is the more recent one. Israel announces major expansion of settlements in the West Bank. But where was the one where Smotrich... Here. No, it's not that one, is it? But yeah, he did say that this plan was supposed to bury the Palestinian state. Where's it? Oh, 2023 even. This is before October 7th. Israel expands settlement. This is Washington Institute as well. Not exactly anti-Israel. Plans to legalize 9 outposts. 7 of them outside of the barrier, the security barrier. Dave, they're telling you they're doing it. They want you to know you're doing it. They're telling the press. They're briefing.
It's in the West Bank.
No.
Quick slot break. 52 seconds in. Why you know that if you want to timestamp these things, you go share. You do the start at 0.52. Copy, and then you put it in the Discord. Why do you have to add the...
Do you have any idea how many Israeli tourists Istanbul has to deal with? Same place all across the Mediterranean, man. People in Greece hate them. People in Italy hate them. Anyone who has to deal with Israeli tourists hates them. Can you imagine if it was like 1942, but all of the West was neutral somehow, and German tourists kept visiting like London and like boasting about what they were doing in Poland, you know? Going up to like, I don't know, cafe staff and accusing them of being Aryan phobic because they haven't been served 30 seconds after sitting down. Israeli tourists have been going more to Asia than Europe lately. Yeah, I'm sure sex tourism. Also, like, fewer people hate them there. But they'll get there. Sure they'll share my love. They're still in NATO. I mean, obviously, it's still meant to play up it's like Italy, right? I mean, Indians are glazing the fuck out of Israel. Yeah, but Israelis don't want to go to India because they're racist. Also, in fairness, India is India. They've got some growing pains to sort out, you know? China's developed...
The way this says it is like so autistic, matter of fact. I can't even... Whatever.
War.
An aggressive expansion of settlements,
in the West Bank during this war?
No, 100%.
Never heard about anyone hating Israeli tourists. I have, but never for good reasons, apart from the football fans. But again, football fans are a problem regardless. Like, football fans are assholes. They have firms. They have a large enough minority within them that is there to fight and cause shit.
Dave, has there been an aggressive expansion of settlements in the West Bank during this war?
An aggressive expansion of settlements
in the West Bank during this war?
No, 100% not.
Dave, there has been.
Would you say it's a square mile?
I don't know the territory. No. I just know there's an aggressive expansion of settlements.
But that's just, I mean, Piers, that's just.
But again, this is the problem.
That's just words, Piers. Those are just concepts.
Okay, so here's the problem.
Have you been there?
So here's the problem.
Have you been there? I know people will love that on the internet.
You say none of this has happened. Yeah. You see.
Wait, who said Israel's in NATO? Was that in the Vosh? I wasn't even listening. Sorry.
There's nothing to see here, Gus.
No.
Israel has done no wrong.
No.
Have they done any wrong?
I don't know how to conduct a war exactly, but I know that if
it's on my question. Has the Israeli government done anything wrong in the way they prosecuted this war?
Not that I know of.
So that's the thing.
Vosh said Turkey's in NATO. Oh, yeah, they are. Okay.
Desperately trying to.
Okay, so you have a position.
In an existential war, you do what you have to do for your people. Okay. As I think is exactly what you would demand of your government.
Well, except that when my government went to war in Iraq, for example, I led the campaign against it, and I was proven right. Right? I think it's more complicated.
But that's a war across the world where there were no British people being hidden under the ground.
This war didn't start on October the 7th. This is a conflict that's been going on for 7 decades. That's why I compare it, actually, to the war that was conducted between, say, the IRA and the British government.
Well, your government did 75 years ago offer the Palestinians a state for the first time because, as you know, the Palestinians never had a state. It was the British man.
The British government didn't. Oh, is he talking about? If he's talking about white paper, okay.
I think the whole way it was organized at the start.
I think if he's saying 75 years, he's probably referring to the partition plan because he thinks that was a British offer. That was the British saying, "Not my problem. Get me the fuck out of here." That's what the British were saying.
Was deeply flawed. But I also read a very interesting piece by a guy called Jonathan Friedland. He's a British Jewish journalist, who said he could have written 2 columns about what happened in 1947, 48, 49. He said, and one would have been very pro-Israel and one would have been very pro-Palestinian. And he said that as a Jewish journalist. I think it was an interesting perspective, is that I've heard both sides argue passionately, but the crux of the combined debate is that it was very badly handled and should have been handled a lot better. You know, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced from their homes, but also hundreds of thousands.
Actually, the British were a bit more involved than that. In 47, especially even during the Civil War and on the departure, the British were just killing everyone. They were killing Jews, they were killing Arabs, they were fucking arresting Haganah fires and handing them over to Arab mobs for justice where they got lynched and fucking mutilated. They had there was a British guy heading the Arab Legion forces, John, with a guy with no jaw because he got it blown off in in a previous war. Brits were just fighting everyone. Yeah, this guy, John Bagot Glubb. Look at his fucking gullet. Look at that. He had a piece of his jaw blasted off. Glubb Pasha, Jordanian forces commander. Nutter. Right.
Of Israelis and Jewish.
They don't make them like that anymore.
People, as they were then, but obviously became part of Israel, were displaced from their homes in the region. So there was a lot of displacement of people's lives, uprooting of people's lives going on.
Sure.
And a lot of enforced things by countries like Britain. You will do it this way. I think it could have been handled a lot better. And then a lot of the trouble could have been avoided.
All right, let's not end on this. But just no. I'm happy to do it. I wish we had more time.
I'm totally aware I'm completely out of my depth on this issue. Let's get the hell out of here.
I mean, this is why I prefer to do things face to face instead of with the screaming lunatics on the other side. I'm telling you that the expansions, like if you can't even tell me they've expanded a mile, it's because you.
But I don't know the exact geography.
It'll be more than a mile, you fucking retard. Like there's literally outposts that are being recognized beyond the separation barrier. Come on, Dave.
But even a half mile.
I do. Well,
no, they haven't though.
Here's the problem.
They haven't.
My final point on this.
Why is he so fucking sure? He has no idea.
problem.
When they say a settlement, that means someone built an apartment over there?
You can sit there and deny all of these things, to which I simply say, fine, you might be right. The Israeli government's done nothing wrong. There's been no expansion of settlements. The wall's been prosecuted as the most moral army in the world.
Speaking of the West Bank, there was a pretty nasty fucking killing that was captured on camera just the other day, wasn't there?
Footage has emerged which shows Israeli forces killing 2 Palestinian men in the West Bank after they appeared to surrender. The men are seen leaving a building and lying on the ground.
Volume, okay, here, thank you. Yeah, and this little fucking...
in front of Israeli forces in the northern city of Jenin. Palestinian authorities have identified them as 26-year-old Al-Muntasir.
Like, it's the way that they're dealing with these guys is so fucking sloppy. Like, there's no... Can any former soldier, like... Because I know there's or police officer or whatever the fucking chat. Look at what how they're handling this guy. This guy, he's dropping his jacket, his hands are up. You don't want to you want to make sure that they leave their hands visible and like either on their head or behind their back, right? So they don't make any sudden movements or grab something like in their jacket. And look at what he does. Look what he does. He just gives him a little just shuffle along here. So none of us watching you. What the fuck, man?
Abdullah and 27-year-old Yusuf Asasa. Both men lift their t-shirts.
Oh yeah, let's just give him a boot as well. Boot in the ribs, why not?
They hold their hands in the air, apparently
let's just kick
to show
this guy.
that they were not carrying weapons or explosives. The Israeli soldiers then appeared to order the men back inside the building before they were shot. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons is in Jerusalem and has the latest.
And then there's some fucking asshole. There's some fucking nasty ass cunt Twitter account that is trying to say that they were making suspicious movements. And that's why the soldiers shot, because they thought like if someone was doing that or whatever. But you can see they're ushering them inside.
Our Israeli soldiers then appeared to order the men back inside the building before they were shot. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons is in Jerusalem.
Yeah, and then they shoot.
That's the latest.
It's just like a full-on like summary execution like this.
Often you have a massive schism, frankly, between the two sides because there is outrage among Palestinian communities at what they see as an extrajudicial killing by Israeli forces. This was carried out by the Israeli border police, who actually operate under the auspices of the IDF, and there were Israeli military troops there as well at this moment. This was all part of a very...
The soldiers are claiming that they were making... Yeah, I know the soldiers are claiming that they were making suspicious bodily movements, but if you look at the body language of the soldiers here and like what they're doing, and again, like they're literally giving...
Identified them as 26-year-old...
Like, what is this? It's like the most fucking confusing and confused. There's already a guy watching this guy, and this guy's putting this guy out of his fucking sight and just giving a little hand gesture. It looks like they have no fucking idea what they're trying to tell the guys to do.
Abdullah,
they clearly don't give a fuck about neutralizing the threat. They're just...
and 27-year-old Yusuf Asasa. Both men lift their t-shirts, they hold their hands in the air, apparently to show that they were not carrying weapons or explosives. The Israeli soldiers then appeared to order the men back inside the building before they were shot. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons is in Jerusalem and has the latest.
As so often, you have a massive schism, frankly, between the two sides because there is outrage among Palestinian communities at what they see as an extrajudicial killing by Israeli forces. This was carried out by the Israeli border police, who actually operate under the auspices of the IDF, and there were Israeli military troops there as well at this moment. This was all part of a very, very big series of activities in the Jenin area, which has long been a scene of tension between Israel, which of course occupies the West Bank through its military, and Palestinians who have pushed back against that occupation. So Israel will describe these people as having been terrorists. The Palestinians, I'm sure, will push back against that.
They might. Let's say they were. Let's say they were. You had them under your control. You had them like in a position where you could easily have detained them or done something, and you shot them. You shot them when they were fucking whatever hors de combat you call it, right?
And they will look at that video and say these were people who were trying to surrender at the time, and already a number of legal experts in the West Bank have accused Israel of either an extrajudicial killing or, in some more pointed comments, a war crime by shooting a prisoner who is in the process of trying to surrender. So this has real combustible potential at a time when tensions are high in the West Bank. Now, the Israelis deny all of that. Itamar Ben-Gvir, the very far right.
We don't know why they went back into the building. I mean, it looks pretty clear that they're trying to send them into the building, but okay, whatever.
Minister in charge of national security says that, quote, terrorists must die, and offered his full support to the IDF and the border police. And the IDF has put out a statement. Let me read it to you. It says, the wanted individuals were affiliated with a terror network in the area of Jenin. The forces entered the area, enclosed the structure in which the suspects were located, and initiated a surrender procedure that lasted several hours. Following their exit, fire was directed towards the suspects. The incident is under review by the commanders on the ground and will be transferred to the relevant professional bodies. Now, some of that, I guess, is unarguable. They were clearly in a building. There was a process that was calling for their surrender, and fire very clearly did happen. The question is the circumstances at the end. The Israeli politicians who are, as I say, cheerleading for this, Itamar Ben-Gvir among them, have offered full, unqualified support to the border police and the IDF. I understand that the border police are saying that the two suspects were trying to get back into the building. Others will look at the video and say this, prima facie, is an execution.
Prima facie. Is that what you call it in the UK? Prima facie. Yeah, I don't know. If anyone, because I know there are a couple of fucking soldiers in this community, if anyone wants to give me some fucking context or tell me, or add some insight. Because what I see is soldiers who are giving very sloppy directions to these people, kicking them when you're not supposed to, and ushering them quite seemingly into a building so they can shoot them, like with no fucking cause for threat. They always say they're investigating these incidents. Were there any follow-up on any of them? Yeah, a couple of people have been jailed in the past. Like there was the guy who literally walked up to a guy who was flat face on the floor for a few minutes at least. And the soldier just walked up to him and shot him in the face when he wasn't even moving a muscle. That soldier, I think, got a couple of years in jail. Maybe less. I think it might have been 9 months. I don't know. It might have been like a longer sentence, but they got out and yeah.
Going about his business, to which I simply say, let the journalist...
Yeah, the guy was down for 11 minutes, was that right? Yeah.
Let's find out.
I mean, I don't think any army was feeding the people and dropping leaflets.
Do you agree the journalists should be let in?
Well, now you could let people in. It's a little less dangerous. Let them run around with.
You know what? Let the war.
He served 4 years and 10 months. Oh, that's the longest, isn't it? Is that the longest in Israeli history? The soldiers were already released from questioning. Is that expected? Is it expected that they would get released so quickly? There were cases of 10 years. There are Israeli soldiers who have spent 10 years in jail for murdering a Palestinian. We do this every now and then, as we try to find whatever the longest one is. I think first it was 3 years, then it became 4, but they are hard to find. It's hard to find people who spend longer than that for murdering for executing someone. Yeah. They were released on restrictive conditions and are barred from contacting anyone involved in the case. That's the update as of a few hours ago. Or just now, actually. No, it's just now. Huh. I have not heard of anyone serving 10 years, though.
phones. You know these people have phones, right?
Yes, I've seen loads of footage that contradicts what you're saying. You wouldn't believe the footage.
No,
you just say it's fake.
We'll stop the camera and then we could, or we could do it right now. I mean, if you want to bust out your phone and show me all the starving people, what I see are hordes of young men with perfectly cut hair who are in shape with clothes that fit. I mean,
you don't honestly think that life for a young Palestinian kid in Gaza in the last 2 years has been anything but utter hell, do you?
Well, they unfortunately
words. I love it. So now he's going to say, no, they're fine. They got their fucking haircuts. They're all fat. But then Piers is like, you don't think is. And then Piers will challenge him, and then he'll say, oh, but whose fault is that? Like, you see how quickly the argument shifts. Like he's just such a amorphous fucking blob.
Elected Hamas, who then...
and I don't disagree with you about a single thing you're about to say about Hamas. I agree with every word you're about to say. Let's park that to one side. I'm not denying for a moment that they are a despicable terror group.
I think somebody said war is hell.
It is, but ultimately you have to...
I thought you said they were all freshly shaved and fat, Dave. Now war is hell. Okay. Sounds like you're just going to say anything to get you through the conversation because you don't know anything. He hasn't... What is he... How does he not? I don't know, man.
Resolve it, and I'm very. Oh, is that mine?
Oop, they're giving us the signal.
Sorry, no,
all right, we got
my alarm.
You got your alarm. All right,
that's my assistant beams in saying, "Get him out of there."
All right, 60
Interviewing
seconds.
is hell.
60 seconds left. Well, this is what it's all about, right? I mean, this really is what it's all about. It's what we both do for a living, and it doesn't change my opinion of you in any way or anything else.
And and here's the thing: we should be able to have a spirited debate about these things, right? And I don't for a moment claim that ultimately history will prove I was completely right about everything. This is just my honestly held view, though. I don't come at it from a partisan perspective. I think if people look at my record over the entire war, for example, I've been very pro-Israel for a long time. I became increasingly critical of Israel. I've been steadfast in my hatred of all things Hamas. So people can judge me accordingly. But you and I can have a spirited, fiery debate.
Let's congratulate each other on how civil the conversation was. Yes!
Right, without any problem. And I know at the end of this, we'll shake hands.
Yeah, of course.
And if we see each other, you come to London, we'll go to my pub, we'll have a pint, whatever, have a nice dinner. It should never impact on that. I saw John Stewart said a really interesting thing last week where he was talking about...
I'm surprised I haven't seen Dave Rubin slapping the fucking aid stacks at the Gaza border that aren't being distributed in his little fucking press vest, in his little helmet.
You know, if you've got obviously he's a liberal. If you've got a big right-wing, headbanger of an uncle and it's Thanksgiving, do you snub him? As a lot on the left want to do. It's a big thing with the progressive left. You don't, or the same way that if you're a conservative, should you snub some progressive left woke member of your family?
Most of us would prefer not to get shot at this point. Snubbing, we could probably.
No, I agree with. Listen, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And the woke left's war on free speech is a cornerstone of my book, and culminates eventually in things like the murder of Charlie Kirk, which is where if you try and silence debate and free speech, that's what happens. And if you call everybody a fascist or a Nazi, that's what happens. So that's all covered in the book. But I think what's really important, the point he made was that even if you have an uncle and you're a liberal and your uncle's very right-wing, that he may have other qualities like John Stewart's uncle has, which are incredibly great qualities. Why would you pillory somebody or disown somebody because one part of their makeup doesn't suit you? That's where wokeism has taken us, I think. It's taken us to a thinking that if you don't sign up to my worldview, I'm going to shame you, cancel you, disown you.
Okay, I don't care about the people cancelling each other. Oh my God. Every time these guys have to have the obligatory fucking self-congratulatory fucking tit-wank session about how civil the conversation was, and then they need to follow up by saying, oh yeah, everyone else is so cancelly, everyone else is so woke. A little struggle session, a little fucking mutual therapy session about how people are mean to them on the internet. God damn it. Meanwhile, I'm out here on my own taking all this shit. I can't even go to a big dude in the industry and be like, oh, these guys are so mean. Why are these guys so unreasonable? I just have you guys. Imagine that. No one's reading the book. I don't think I would. Yeah, I like Pierce's content, but I'm not reading that book. Hell no. You should have tweeted the sleep joke. Yeah, if I just went a bit more mental, that would have made my life much better. That would have been sad. Nah. Subscribe, you fucking assholes. I mean, sorry.